The night sky above Colony 7 was darker than usual when John Mason heard the knock at his door. The automated farming station he managed sat 50 miles from the nearest settlement, and visitors were rare, especially at midnight. He had been reviewing crop data on his tablet when the sound made him jump. John walked to the door and checked the security monitor, but the screen showed only static strange, he thought as he grabbed the plasma rifle from the wall rack. He opened the door carefully, keeping the weapon hidden behind the frame. A woman stood in the rain, but she was not human. Her skin had a soft blue glow, and her ears came to elegant points that peeked through long, silver hair that seemed to shimmer with its own light. She was tall, perhaps 6.5 feet, and wore a flowing robe made from a material John had never seen before. Behind her, 3 small creatures huddled against her legs trying to stay dry. "Please," the woman said in accented English, her violet eyes wide with fear. "We need shelter." John noticed blood on her robe and burns on her arms. Without thinking, he stepped aside and let them in. The 3 creatures followed close behind their guardian, making soft chirping sounds as they entered the warm house. They looked like tiny dragons with scales that changed color as they moved. "Thank you," the woman said as she collapsed onto his couch. "My name is Luna of the Zalari people. These are my younglings." Skyflame and Leaf John grabbed towels from the bathroom and a first aid kit from the kitchen. The dragon younglings watched him with intelligent eyes as he helped Luna clean her wounds. The blue-scaled one called Sky approached him slowly and sniffed his hand. "They can sense your intentions," Luna explained, weakly. "You have a good heart, or they would not come near you." "What happened to you?" John asked as he bandaged a deep cut on her arm. "Pirates attacked our ship 2 days ago." Luna winced as he applied antiseptic. "My mate fought them off long enough for us to reach an escape pod, but he did not make it." John paused in his work, understanding the pain in her voice. He had lost his wife and daughter in a transport accident 5 years ago, which was why he had taken this isolated posting. "The escape pod crashed 10 miles from here," Luna continued. "We walked through the storm to find help. Yours was the first light we saw." The red-scaled dragon called Flame had climbed onto the arm of the couch and was examining John with curious golden eyes. The green one leaf stayed close to Luna, making soft, comforting sounds. Sky had curled up near the heating vent and was already falling asleep. "You can stay as long as you need," John said, surprising himself with how easily the words came. He had been alone for so long that he had forgotten how to be around others, but something about this strange family felt right. Luna looked at him with those violet eyes, and he saw desperation there. "You do not understand what you are offering. In my culture, I have only 7 days to find a new mate, or the younglings will be taken by the state." John nearly dropped the bandage he was holding. "What do you mean?" She explained that Zalari dragon younglings needed 2 parents to develop properly. Without a father figure, they would become feral and dangerous. Her government would not allow a single mother to raise them alone. "But I am human," John protested. "Surely that would not work." Luna shook her head. "Biology does not matter for the bonding, only the commitment. The younglings have already begun to accept you. Look." John turned to see all 3 young dragons watching him. Sky had moved closer and Flame had climbed down to sit beside his brother. Even Shy Leaf was leaning toward him. "They sense something in you," Luna said. "A loneliness that matches ours, a need for family that echoes our own." Over the next day, John learned more about his unusual guests. The Zalari were an ancient race that had formed a symbiotic relationship with the dragon species of their world. The dragons were intelligent, but needed guidance to reach their full potential. The Zalari provided that guidance, and in return, the dragons became partners in every aspect of life. Luna showed him how to prepare food for the younglings, mixing special proteins with minerals from her emergency supplies. Sky preferred her meat cooked, while Flame liked his raw. Leaf was vegetarian, which surprised John for a dragon. The younglings began following John around the house. Sky would alert him to incoming weather changes with specific chirp patterns. Flame showed an interest in the machinery John used to maintain the farm. Leaf loved the greenhouse and spent hours among the plants. On the second night, Luna felt strong enough to help John with dinner. As they cooked together, she told him about her world cities built in giant trees, dragons of every size and color, working alongside elves' advanced technology that worked in harmony with nature. "Your mate must have been special," John said, as they ate. Luna smiled sadly. "He was a warrior and a scholar. He taught the younglings to be brave while I taught them to be wise. Now they have only half of what they need." That night, John could not sleep. He walked out to the porch and found Sky, sitting there watching the stars. The young dragon chirped softly and pressed against his leg. John sat down and Sky climbed into his lap. "You miss your father, do you not?" John asked, though he knew the dragon could not answer in words. Sky made a low, mournful sound, and John understood completely. "I miss my family too." Luna appeared in the doorway. She had changed into simple clothes John had given her and looked more vulnerable than the night she arrived. "I did not mean to deceive you," she said. "I should have told you immediately what I needed. You were hurt and scared." John replied, "Sky needs 2 parents to grow up right. All 3 of them." Luna sat beside him, and Flame and Leaf joined them on the porch. The 2 dragons curled up between the adults while Sky remained in John's lap. "I have 5 days left," Luna said quietly. "If you cannot do this, I understand. I will take them home and accept the consequences." John looked at the 3 young dragons who had already begun to trust him then, at Luna who was trying to be strong for her children. He thought about his empty life before they arrived and how much life they had brought to his quiet home. The 3rd day brought unexpected challenges. John woke to find Flame had somehow opened the equipment shed and was playing with the farming drones. The young red dragon had remarkable problem-solving skills, but no understanding of danger. Luna rushed outside in panic when she realized what had happened. "Flame, no." She called in her language a series of musical notes that John was beginning to recognize. The dragon looked up from the drone he had been examining and chirped innocently. "He is trying to learn," Luna explained to John as they gathered the scattered tools. "This is what I mean about needing 2 parents. My people would say he needs a father's guidance to channel his curiosity." Safely, John knelt down and looked Flame in the eyes. The dragon tilted his head, waiting. "Come here, buddy," John said, holding out his hand. Flame scampered over and climbed up to his shoulder. "These machines can hurt you. We explore together." "Okay." To his surprise, Flame chirped in what sounded like agreement and nuzzled his cheek. Luna watched with wonder as John spent the morning showing Flame how the farm equipment worked safely. The dragon was a quick learner and soon understood which parts were dangerous. Meanwhile, Sky had discovered she could help predict weather patterns better than the station's equipment. She would stand on the roof and make specific calls when pressure changes indicated storms. Luna translated her warnings, and John realized they were more accurate than his sensors. Leaf found her purpose in the greenhouse. Her breath contained special enzymes that enhanced plant growth. The tomatoes John had been struggling with suddenly flourished under her care. She would spend hours moving from plant to plant, breathing her special mist on each one. That evening, a communication came through on John's emergency channel. It was the colonial administrator calling to check on the storm damage. John had forgotten to file his regular report. "Everything fine here," John said, keeping the video feed focused on himself. The administrator looked concerned. "You sure, Mason? You look different. Healthier, actually. You taking those vitamins?" "I sent." John heard Sky chirp in the background and cough to cover the sound. "Yes, sir, just been keeping busy with the new growing season." "Well, keep up the good work," the administrator said before ending the call. Luna appeared beside him with worry on her face. "Will we cause problems for you?" John shook his head. "Nobody comes out here. That is why I chose this posting. But we should be careful." That night, Luna told him more about the bonding ceremony. It was not marriage in the human sense, but rather a commitment to raise the younglings together. The bond would last until they reached adulthood in about 3 years. "What happens after that?" John asked. Luna looked away. We would be free to continue together or part ways. Most bonded pairs stay together because the connection runs deep. But some do not. John wanted to ask if she could ever care for a human the way she had cared for her mate, but the words would not come. Instead, he watched the younglings play a game that involved chasing floating lights Luna had created with some kind of bioluminescent powder. The fourth day brought a scare. Leaf became ill, refusing to eat and lying listlessly in the corner. Luna was frantic, explaining that young dragons were fragile and could decline quickly without proper care. "She needs medicine from my world," Luna said through tears. "I have none left." John remembered something from his agricultural training about reptilian biology. He had supplements designed for the local lizard population that sometimes invaded the crops. Working through the night, he modified the formula based on what Luna told him about dragon physiology. The risk was enormous, but Leaf was getting worse. John held the small green dragon as Luna administered the modified medicine. Leaf whimpered, and John felt his heart breaking. This little creature had trusted him, and he might have failed her. Hours passed with no change. John and Luna took turns holding Leaf while Sky and Flame huddled nearby, making worried sounds. Then, just as the sun rose, Leaf opened her eyes and chirped weakly. She was hungry, Luna cried with relief, and hugged John without thinking. "Thank you," she repeated in both English and her own language. "You saved her." John held them both, feeling something shift inside him. These were not just visitors anymore. They were becoming his family. The fifth day, Luna grew quiet. She spent much time writing in a journal using symbols John could not read. When he asked, she explained she was recording their story for the younglings to read. When they were older, they deserved to know about their father, said both of them. That statement hung in the air. John understood what she was suggesting. He could be more than just a temporary solution. He could be their real father. That evening, officials from the colony arrived unexpectedly. John's heart raced as the transport landed, but Luna remained calm. "Let me handle this," she whispered. The younglings hid in the bedroom as John answered the door. Two inspectors stood there with scanning equipment. "We detected unusual energy readings from this sector," one said. "Mind if we look around?" John tried to appear calm. "Just the usual farm equipment. Nothing unusual here." The inspectors began scanning, and their equipment immediately detected non-human life signs. John prepared to defend his new family when Luna appeared. "Gentlemen," she said in perfect English, her appearance shimmered slightly. "I am Ambassador Luna of the Zalari Trade Delegation. I am here on diplomatic business." The inspector stepped back in shock. An alien on Colony 7. They had never encountered non-humans before. Luna produced a holographic credential from her robe. "My ship experienced difficulties and Mr. Mason kindly offered shelter while I await rescue. I trust the Colonial Authority still honors the Interspecies Aid Treaty." The lead inspector nodded quickly. "Of course, Ambassador. Our apologies for the intrusion. Do you need any assistance?" Luna smiled. "No, thank you. Mr. Mason has been most helpful. I will be departing soon." After the inspectors left, John stared at Luna in amazement. Ambassador Luna laughed softly. "That was truth from a certain point of view. I was part of a trade delegation years ago. The credentials are real. If outdated, you could have left with them." John said, "Found help from the colony." Luna called the younglings out, and they immediately ran to John, climbing on him and chirping happily. Leaf perched on his shoulder, Sky wrapped around his leg, and Flame scaled his back to sit on his other shoulder. "This is their answer," Luna said. "They have chosen. You, the colony, cannot help with that." The sixth day dawned clear and bright. John made breakfast while Luna taught him more of her language. The younglings had developed a routine. Sky would patrol the perimeter. Flame would help John with repairs, and Leaf tended the greenhouse as they worked together. John noticed how natural it felt. Luna knew when he needed help without asking. The younglings responded to his moods, offering comfort when he grew sad, thinking of his lost family. They were becoming synchronized like a real family unit. That afternoon, Luna showed him holograms from her world cities that floated in the clouds, supported by massive dragons' markets, where elves and dragons worked side by side. Children playing with dragon. Younglings in schools designed for both species. Could humans live there? John asked. Luna studied him carefully. Some do traders and diplomats who have earned the right. But a human who became father to dragon younglings, that would be unprecedented. John understood the weight of what she was saying. If he agreed to this, he would not just be helping them. He would be crossing into an entirely new world. The seventh day arrived with heavy rain that reminded John of the night Luna first appeared. Tomorrow she would have to make her choice, either perform the bonding ceremony with him or return to her world and lose the younglings. The weight of the decision pressed on both of them. Luna spent the morning teaching John the ceremony words in her language. The sounds were complex, requiring tones humans rarely used, but John practiced until his throat was sore. Sky Flame and Leaf watched encouragingly, chirping when he got the pronunciation right. "You are trying so hard," Luna said, touching his throat gently to adjust his position. Her fingers were warm against his skin. Why? John looked at the three younglings who had gathered around him. Because they deserve a chance at a normal life. And because I know what it is like to lose everything. Luna pulled her hand back, tears in her violet eyes. My mate said something similar when we first bonded. He was not born to privilege either. He understood loss. Tell me about him, John said. Luna smiled and pulled out a small device that projected a hologram. A tall elf man appeared with dark blue skin and silver markings on his face. He was holding a much younger Sky, teaching her to fly. His name was Ziron. She said he was a soldier who became a teacher. He believed knowledge and strength must exist together. He would have liked you. John studied the hologram, seeing the love in how Ziron held the younglings. The man had been their whole world, and now John was being asked to fill that void. That night neither could sleep. They sat on the porch watching the storm while the younglings slept inside. Luna had wrapped herself in a blanket and sat close to John for warmth. I need to tell you something, she said quietly. The bond is not just ceremonial, it creates a connection between us. You would feel what the younglings feel, their joys and fears, and I would feel yours. John considered this carefully. Would you feel what I feel about you? Luna turned. To him, her eyes wide. What do you feel about me? Before John could answer, Sky appeared at the door, chirping urgently. Luna jumped up, understanding immediately. Something was wrong. John followed her to the bedroom where Flame was having some kind of seizure. "I is transforming too early," Luna cried. "This should not happen for another year." She explained that young dragons went through growth transformations, but they needed both parents' energy to survive the process. Without a bonded father, Flame would die. "We do the ceremony now," John said without hesitation. Luna shook her head. "It is too dangerous without preparation. The bond could kill you if done wrong." John picked up the convulsing Flame, holding him against his chest. The little dragon was burning with fever. "I will not let him die. Tell me what to do." Luna saw the determination in his eyes and nodded. They moved to the center of the room with John still holding Flame. Sky and Leaf instinctively formed a circle around them. "Place your hand on my heart," Luna instructed, placing her own hand on his chest. "Repeat after me and mean every word." The words were in her language and John spoke them carefully, though he only partially understood their meaning. He felt energy building between them like static electricity before a storm. Luna's eyes began to glow and John felt something opening in his mind. Suddenly he could feel everything. Flame pain, Sky fear, Leaf worry, and Luna desperate hope. The sensation was overwhelming and John nearly broke the connection. But then he felt something else, Luna's strength flowing through him to Flame. The young dragon stopped convulsing and his breathing steadied. The fever broke and he chirped weakly. John felt tears on his face as relief flooded through the bond from all of them. "It is done," Luna whispered, exhausted. "You are their father now." John felt the truth of it in his bones. He could sense each youngling like they were extensions of himself. Sky brave and protective. Flame curious and clever. Leaf gentle and wise. He could also feel Luna, a mixture of grief for her lost mate and growing warmth toward him. The next morning brought immediate changes. John woke to find he could understand some of the younglings' chirps without translation. He knew Sky was hungry. Flame wanted to explore, and Leaf was content. More surprisingly, his vision had sharpened and colors seemed more vivid. "The bond is changing you," Luna explained. "You are becoming something between human and Zalari. It happens, sometimes with interspecies bonds." John looked at his hands, which seemed the same but felt different somehow. "Will I still be human? You will always be human," Luna assured him. "But now you are also something more. You are Dragon Father." The Colonial Supply ship arrived that afternoon for its monthly delivery. John usually dreaded the social interaction, but now he felt confident. The pilot noticed immediately. "Mason, you look different," the pilot said. "Have you been working out? Just staying active?" "John," replied, "helping unload supplies, lots to do around here." The pilot gossiped about colony news, then mentioned something that made John's heart stop. "Corporate is sending an inspection team next month. They want to evaluate all the isolated stations for efficiency." After the pilot left, John told Luna about the inspection. She grew worried but tried not to show it. "We will figure it out," she said. "We have time." But John knew time was their enemy. The younglings were growing fast. Flame transformation had been early, but the others would follow soon. They could not hide forever. That evening, John made a decision that surprised even him. "We should go to your world." Luna stared at him. "What?" "The younglings need their own kind to learn from properly." John explained. "And you need your people even if you have me now. Earth colonies are no place for them." Luna approached him slowly. "You would leave everything behind. Your world. Your species. Your life." John gestured around the simple farmhouse. "What life? I was just existing before you came. Now I have a purpose. A family, and family stays together." Luna kissed him then. It was gentle and different from human kisses, but John felt the emotion behind it through their bond. Gratitude, joy, and something deeper that was still growing. The younglings must have felt it too, because they swarmed them, chirping excitedly. Flame climbed John back, Sky wrapped around his waist, and Leaf landed on Luna's shoulder. They were truly united now. Over the next week, they prepared for departure. Luna repaired her emergency beacon to call for a Zalari ship, while John slowly shut down the farm operations. He filed reports indicating equipment failures that would require him to return to the main colony for extended leave. The younglings grew stronger each day. The bond allowed John to help them develop in ways Luna alone could not. He taught Flame to control his curiosity, channeling it into useful skills. The Red Dragon learned to repair simple machines with his clever claw. Sky became his shadow, following him everywhere and learning to protect, not just react. John showed her how to think tactically to understand threats before they materialized. She would make a fine guardian one day. Leaf surprised them all by bonding with the farm's AI system. Her unique brain waves could interface with technology in ways even Luna did not understand. She became a bridge between organic and digital. "You are teaching them to be more than dragons or elves," Luna said one evening. "You are teaching them to be citizens of the galaxy." John had not thought of it that way, but she was right. These younglings would grow up understanding multiple species and cultures. They would be ambassadors whether they chose it or not. The Zalari ship arrived at night, a sleek vessel that made no sound as it landed. The crew was shocked to find a human had bonded with dragon younglings, but Luna rank as a former ambassador kept them from refusing passages. John packed his few belongings. He found the photo of his late wife and daughter. He had not looked at it in years. They smiled at him from the past, frozen in happiness. "I hope you would understand," he whispered to them. "You taught me how to love, and now I have a chance to use that gift again." Luna found him there and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "They would be proud of you." John nodded and carefully packed the photo. He was not leaving his past behind, but carrying it forward into a new future. The journey to the Zalari homeworld took 3 weeks through hyperspace. John experienced space travel differently now through the bond. The younglings shared their excitement with him directly, and he felt their emotions as clearly as his own. Zalari crew kept their distance, at first unsure how to treat a human who had bonded with their kind. The ship captain, a stern older elf named Varix, questioned Luna repeatedly about the wisdom of her choice. "He is not Zalari," Varix said in their language, not knowing John was beginning to understand it. "The Council will never accept this." Luna stood firm. "The law says nothing about species, only about the bond. And the bond is complete." John proved himself to the crew when Flame accidentally triggered a maintenance panel and got trapped in the ship ventilation system. The Zalari engineers panicked, but John could feel exactly where Flame was through the bond. He guided the young dragon out, using their connection, speaking in mixed English, and, "Zalari, that Flame somehow understood you speak to him as we do," the engineer said, amazed. "No human has ever bonded so deeply." Sky helped by serving as translator between John and the crew. Her intelligence was remarkable, and she quickly learned to convey complex ideas between the two species. Leaf spent time in the ship medical bay where her unique abilities fascinated the Zalari doctor. "Your younglings are special," Luna told John one night as they watched stars streak by. "The bond with you has changed them too. They are becoming something new." The ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zalari system, and John got his first view of their world. It was twice the size of Earth, with 3 moons and rings like Saturn. But what took his breath away were the dragons. Hundreds of them flew between floating cities, some as small as horses, others larger than whales. They moved in patterns that seemed choreographed, but Luna explained it was natural harmony. Her people had lived alongside dragons for millions of years. The largest city floated above an ocean supported by massive crystal structures that defied physics. John understood trees the size of skyscrapers grew from floating platforms with buildings woven into their branches. The technology was organic, alive in ways human science could not achieve. As their ship descended, the news of their arrival spread. John could see crowds gathering on the landing platform. Word of a human dragon father had already caused a sensation. "Stay close to me," Luna warned. "The council will want to test the bond immediately." They were met by 3 council members, all ancient elves with skin like tree bark and eyes that held centuries of wisdom. The eldest introduced herself as Maestra. "So Luna said you have done the impossible." Mistra circled John, studying him. "A human bonded to our young. This is either evolution or catastrophe." Sky Flame and Leaf pressed against John, legs protective and nervous. Mistra noticed, and her expression softened. "The younglings accept you completely," she observed. "That is unexpected." The council ordered immediate testing. John was taken to a chamber where various devices scanned him, measured his brain waves, and analyzed the bond. Luna was not allowed to accompany him, but he could feel her worry through their connection. The tests were exhausting. They made him demonstrate his connection to each youngling, prove he could sense their needs and guide their development. Flame performed complex tasks. Based solely on John's mental commands, Sky responded to his emotional states, and Leaf showed how she could share her unique abilities with him. After hours of testing, Maestra delivered the verdict. "The bond is genuine and stronger than most natural pairings. The human has been changed at a cellular level. He is becoming a hybrid." "What does that mean?" John asked. Maestra showed him a holographic scan of his DNA. "You are still human, but with Zalari additions. Your lifespan will extend, your senses will sharpen, and you will develop abilities we cannot predict. You are the first of your kind." That evening, Luna took him to her family home in the Tree City. Her parents were deceased, but her sister Lyra lived there with her own family. Lyra was skeptical of John at first, but her own younglings immediately accepted him. "He has the gift," Lyra admitted, watching John play with her children. "Not all Zalari have it, but he does." The next weeks were challenging. John had to learn Zalari law, culture, and customs. He attended school with the younglings where they all learned together. The other parents were curious but welcoming, especially when they saw how his younglings thrived. Sky excelled in strategic thinking classes combining human military history. John had taught her with Zalari tactics. Flame became popular in the engineering workshops, where his unique perspective solved problems others missed. Leaf discovered she could heal minor injuries with her breath when combined with Zilari medicine. John found work at the Integration Center where off-worlders learned about Zilari culture. His unique position as a bonded human made him valuable for bridging species divides. He helped establish new protocols for interspecies, adoption, and bonding. One morning 6 months after arriving, John woke to find his reflection had changed. His eyes had flecks of violet now, and his hearing could pick up the ultrasonic frequencies dragons used for long-distance communication. His skin had a faint luminescence. "In darkness you are beautiful," Luna said from the doorway. Different but beautiful. Their relationship had deepened beyond the practical need that first brought them together. John loved her not just as the mother of the younglings, but as his partner. She had begun to return those feelings, though grief for her first mate still lingered. The anniversary of Xeron's death arrived and Luna withdrew. John found her in the memorial garden holding a crystal that contained holographic memories. She was crying. "I feel guilty," she admitted when John sat beside her. Guilty for being happy again. John understood that feeling perfectly. He took out the photo of his wife and daughter, showing it to Luna for the first time. "Amy would have wanted me to find love again," John said. "She told me so when she was dying, made me promise not to waste my life in grief. Your Xeron would want the same for you." Luna leaned against him and they sat together holding their past loves while building their future. A year passed and the younglings began their second transformation. They were adolescents now, each the size of a large dog with distinct personalities. Sky had become serious and protective, training with the city guard. Flame joined the engineer guild. As their youngest member, Leaf studied with the healers, combining her natural abilities with medical science. John had transformed too. He could now fly short distances using wing membranes that had grown beneath his arms. His telepathic bond extended beyond his family, allowing him to communicate with other dragons. The Zilari Council officially recognized him as a citizen with full rights. The real test came when pirates attacked a transport near the planet. Sky was on patrol duty, and John felt her terror through the bond. Without thinking, he joined the defense force. His human tactical knowledge combined with dragon abilities proved devastating to the pirates. The victory celebration was dampened when John realized what he had become. He had killed to protect his family, something the old John could never have done. The transformation was not just physical, but psychological. Luna found him on their balcony that night, staring at his hands, which could now extend claws. "You are not losing yourself," she assured him. "You are becoming who you were meant to be." "Am I still human?" John asked. "You are human and more," Luna replied. "Just as the younglings are dragon and more. That is your gift to them, and theirs to you." Flame interrupted them with excited chirps. He had been accepted to the advanced engineering program, the youngest ever admitted. Sky had been promoted to junior guardian, and Leaf had made a breakthrough in treating a dragon disease that had plagued their world for decades. "Our children are exceptional," Luna said with pride. John agreed, but knew their greatest challenges lay ahead. The younglings would soon be old enough to choose their own paths, and the galaxy was vast and dangerous. But tonight, they were together, a family, born of tragedy but strengthened by love. 3 years had passed since John first opened his door to Luna and the younglings. The dragons were reaching adult size now. Sky stood 7 feet tall at the shoulder with wings that could carry her across continents. Flame had developed the ability to breathe controlled plasma for welding, and Leaf had become one of the most gifted healers on the planet. John himself had changed beyond recognition. His transformation was complete, making him something unprecedented in galactic history. He retained his human consciousness and creativity, but possessed Zilari longevity and dragon abilities. The scientific community studied him constantly, trying to understand how the bond had rewritten his genetics. One morning the council summoned them all to the great chamber. Maestra stood before the assembled elders with a grave expression. "War is coming," she announced. "The Krex Empire has declared their intention to harvest our dragons for their technology." The room erupted in concerned voices. The Krex were a machine race that absorbed biological entities to power their artificial intelligence. Dragons with their unique bioelectric fields were the perfect fuel source. John felt rage through the bond, not just from his younglings, but from every dragon in the city. He stood and the room quieted. "You want us to run?" John said. It was not a question. Maestra nodded. "We cannot match their military might. Evacuation is our only option." Sky roared her disagreement, and John felt her warrior spirit burning. "No, we do not abandon our world." The council was shocked at the young dragon defiance, but John understood Sky was no longer a youngling. She was a warrior like her first father had been. "Give us time," John said. 3 months to prepare a defense." "You are one human with 3 dragons," Varix protested. "What can you do against an empire?" John smiled, showing the fangs he had developed. "I am not just human anymore, and they are not just dragons. We are something new, something the Kreks have never faced." The council reluctantly agreed, giving them 12 weeks to devise a defense. John immediately set to work combining human military strategy with Zalari technology and dragon abilities. Flame worked with the engineers to develop new weapons based on dragon plasma. His unique understanding of both organic and mechanical systems created innovations the Zalari had never imagined. Shield generators powered by dragon breath weapons that channeled their bioelectric fields and communication systems that used their telepathic bonds. Sky organized the dragon population into military units, something that had never been done before. Dragons were solitary or family-based, but Sky convinced them to work as an army. She trained them in human tactics, adapted for aerial combat leaf, discovered something crucial while studying captured Kreks technology. Their systems were vulnerable to a specific enzyme in dragon saliva. It would not destroy them, but it would cause their biological components to reject the mechanical ones. She began synthesizing a weaponized version. Luna worked beside John, coordinating the defense. Her diplomatic skills brought allied species to their aid. The Terran Federation even sent a small fleet when they learned one of their own was defending the Zalari. Lyra approached John one evening as he planned strategy. "You have given us hope," she said. "My sister chose better than she knew." 2 months into their preparation, scouts reported Kreks ships entering the system, hundreds of them filled with harvesting equipment and warrior drones. John felt fear ripple through the dragon population, but also determination. The night before the battle, John and Luna stood with their younglings on the highest platform of the city below them. Thousands of dragons and Zalari prepared for war. "Whatever happens tomorrow," Luna said, "I want you to know that choosing you was the best decision I ever made." John pulled her close, feeling their bond humming with shared emotion. "I love you," he said in perfect Zalari. "And I love our children, all of them." He meant it. Every dragon on the planet felt like family now. The bond had expanded beyond his own younglings to encompass their entire species. The Kreks attacked at dawn. Their ships darkened the sky and their drones swarmed like locusts, but they were not prepared for what they faced. Sky led the first wave of dragons in perfect formation, using human tactics. They struck hard and fast, targeting the harvesting ships before they could deploy flame plasma weapons overloaded the Kreks' shields, while Leaf biological weapon caused chaos in their ranks. John commanded from the city center, his consciousness linked to every dragon through the expanded bond. He felt their movements, coordinated their attacks, and shared strength with those who weakened. It was exhausting but effective. The Kreks adapted quickly as machines do, but John had anticipated this. He ordered the second phase, and the Terran ships emerged from behind the moons where they had been hiding. The combined firepower of human technology and dragon abilities proved devastating. The battle raged for 3 days. John pushed himself beyond limits he did not know he had. His body drew energy from the planetary field itself, something the Zalari scientists could not explain. Luna stayed beside him, channeling her own strength through their bond. On the 3rd night, the Kreks commander requested communication. The mechanical being appeared on screen, its artificial eyes studying John. "You are an anomaly." It stated, "Part human, part Zalari, part dragon. Such fusion should not exist. I am what happens when species unite." John replied, "We are stronger together than alone." The Krex calculated for several seconds, processing this information proposal. It finally said, "Cease hostilities. Share biological integration data. Mutual benefit." Achieved. John looked at Luna and his younglings, then at the assembled council. They nodded agreement. Terms accepted. John said, "But any harvesting of unwilling beings ends now." The Krex agreed, and the war ended before it truly began. The machine race was fascinated by John's transformation and offered technology in exchange for biological samples freely given. Many dragons volunteered, intrigued by the possibility of mechanical enhancement. 6 months later, John stood before the Galactic Council as the first hybrid ambassador. He represented not just humanity or Zalari, but the possibility of evolution through unity. Sky stood beside him, as his military advisor, Flame as his technology specialist, and Leaf as his medical officer. The younglings were adults now, but they still called him father. They had chosen to stay together as a family unit, even though tradition said they should. Separate. Sky had taken a mate but brought him into their family rather than leaving. Flame traveled the galaxy but always returned home. Leaf established a healing center that attracted patients from every known species. Luna had given birth to their own youngling, a daughter who was born with characteristics of all three species. She had human creativity, Zalari wisdom, and dragon strength. The first true hybrid born rather than made. As John addressed the Galactic Council proposing new laws for interspecies adoption and integration, he thought about that night 5 years ago when Luna had knocked on his door. He had been a broken man hiding from life on a remote farm. Now he was something impossible, a bridge between species, a father to dragons, a mate to an elf warrior, an ambassador for unity. His transformation had not diminished his humanity but enhanced it. The council voted unanimously to support his proposals. Species across the galaxy would have the right to form family bonds, regardless of biology. The war with the Krex had shown that diversity was strength, that evolution came not from isolation, but from connection. After the session, Sky approached him with news that made him proud beyond words. She had been offered command of the first interspecies military unit. Dragons, elves, humans, and even reformed Krex working together. Flame had been invited to head a new technology institute combining organic and mechanical engineering. His innovations were already revolutionizing. Space Travel Leaf had discovered a cure for a plague affecting multiple species using her unique understanding of biological integration. She would receive the Galactic Peace Prize. That evening, the family gathered for dinner as they always did. John looked around the table at Luna, his partner and equal at their hybrid daughter, playing with her toys, at Sky, Flame, and Leaf, who had grown into exceptional beings, and at Lyra family, who had become his own. Through the window he could see dragons, flying in the sunset, their scales catching the light like living rainbows. The city thrived with species from across the galaxy, all learning to live in harmony. John thought of Amy and his daughter and knew they would be proud. He had not replaced them but had honored their memory by choosing to love again. He touched the photo he still carried now, encased in Zalari crystal that would preserve it forever. Luna noticed and took his hand, understanding without words. Their bond had deepened to the point where they were almost one consciousness while maintaining their individual selves. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." John squeezed her hand and felt the response from all their children through the bond. They were thanking him too, but he was the one who was grateful, a widow. And her 3 younglings had not just saved him, they had transformed him into something greater than he could have imagined. They had given him purpose, love, and a future that spanned the stars. As the family settled in for the evening, sharing stories and laughter, John realized this was what humanity brought to the galaxy. Not technology or military might, but the ability to love without limits, to form families beyond species, to find hope in the darkest moments. The young dragon who had first trusted him, Sky, now commanded armies. The curious one, Flame, built impossible machines.